Hello, everyone. Mike's MMA Picks here. Ready to dig a little bit deeper into a matchup that may be considered the people's main event at UFC 273, where we have Khamzat Chimaev taking on Gilbert Burns. This bout takes place at welterweight, and we have a fighter in Khamzat Chimaev who has passed the eye test when watching tape. He's someone who jumps off of the screen 10-0, unblemished, undefeated record, only 27 years of age, taking on a Gilbert Burns who's fought the who's who both at lightweight as well as in the welterweight division. Took that knockout loss to Kamaru Usman. In this spot, 35 years of age, left the lightweight division, is now in the welterweight division and has performed fairly well. A concern of mine in this spot is Khamzat Chimaev, his pace that he brings to the table here. No one's been able to match that so far. Granted, the quality of competition is brought up by many as not being nearly the level of the face of the opponents that Gilbert Burns has faced. You look at the odds in this matchup, and Chimaev now sits as a minus 550 betting favorite. That is legitimate. That's some legitimate juice here against Gilbert Burns coming in at plus 400. This is a fight where ideally you want to take a look at the props in this matchup. I don't think the money lines here are something that people are going to be taking a look at unless they want to take a stab at Gilbert Burns and don't believe the hype. There are folks out there who don't believe the hype. I go back and watch the Sean Strickland interview with the Schmo. If you have a few minutes of your time, you want to take a look at that. That's something that really offers some insight. Strickland has been a straight shooter throughout his career, and he's basically saying that Chimaev was able to toy with him in the training room and submit him multiple times. Chimaev is somebody who, that pace that we talked about, is that sustainable? Is that something that's going to be able to carry through the later rounds if they hit the second and third round? Now, Chimaev has yet to face an opponent who's made it through the midway point of the second round. I've tweeted that out earlier in the week, and that's something that is a concern for folks who question his gas tank. But in this spot, he may not need to utilize that gas tank. He may be able to take Gilbert Burns out via strikes. We've seen in the past that Gilbert Burns is susceptible on the feet, was dropped by a jab of Kamaru Usman. And Chimaev, although we haven't seen much of the hands, the regional tape shows us that he's growing. And at 27 years of age, this is a fighter who the sky is the limit. He'll have a reach advantage here. For those who caught the face-off yesterday in the hotel, you could see the massive size difference in that spot. A couple of other things that we wanted to take a look at here: the aura of invincibility, the self-confidence of Chimaev is incredible. And sometimes these great fighters who haven't tasted defeat, that's the way they carry themselves. The man's steamrolled everyone who's been in front of him so far. And this is a case where he could potentially do this again. You look at Gilbert Burns. He's never been submitted in his professional career. Now, we also have another fighter who hasn't been submitted in their professional career on this card, this UFC 273 card. That would be Tecia Torres, who's facing Mackenzie Dern. And look at the odds in that situation. You have, in this spot, Chimaev by submission sitting at plus 360. I could see him locking up a submission here against Burns. I could see a few different scenarios playing out, but the most likely situation we have unfolding is probably Chimaev knocking Gilbert Burns unconscious. But how is he going to do that? Is he going to come out here and waltz his way across the cage, change levels, take Gilbert Burns to the mat, and then strangle him in a similar fashion to what he did with Li Jingliang? I have some questions about that. I also have some questions about the energy exertion that we've seen from Khamzat Chimaev. This is somebody who has really gone full bore throughout the entirety of his fights. Is he going to implement a similar game plan? I think he is. I think he's going to come out here and look to ground Gilbert Burns, may look to trade hands a little bit. And I don't see him visualizing and seeing Gilbert Burns as a real threat, even on the mat. Gilbert Burns, plus 400 underdog. I don't think Gilbert Burns is going to get it done this weekend. I think Gilbert Burns is as prepared as he possibly could be for this bout. He has a great team behind him. We know he has excellent cardio. He can fight well deep into fights. But is he willing to meet fire with fire? And how is he going to handle the forward pressure of Khamzat Chimaev? That's a concern. The aggression of Khamzat Chimaev is going to be a real problem here. I don't think he's going to be able to match Chimaev's aggression. And I see Chimaev getting this done inside the distance. You look at the fight doesn't go the distance line originally. Could be had for around minus 200. Now it's creeping up closer to minus 300 at most books. I just think Gilbert Burns is going to be, he's going to be outsized. He's going to have to be at a strength disadvantage. And as far as the striking goes, Chimaev is developing fight to fight. We've seen it. Even though he hasn't faced the greatest competition, sometimes that is a way of protecting fighters, helping them get to where they need to be. And Chimaev could potentially be a title contender here, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him make his way through the entire division, both at welterweight and at middleweight. I'm believing the hype here. Gilbert Burns, though, you look at his his resume speaks volumes. The guy does not back down from anybody. He has a legitimate submission game. Granted, hasn't been able to pull off many in the UFC, and Chimaev's riding high right now. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Chimaev win via submission. It also wouldn't surprise me to see him win via knockout. I think he's going to have his way with Gilbert Burns here. And I can say firsthand, Gilbert Burns has been a great soldier for us, somebody who's gone to the well and won us some coin in the past. But in this specific spot, I think that the hype is real and that Chimaev is going to be too much for Gilbert Burns. A couple of lines to take a look at here. We have Chimaev inside the distance. Interesting. He's sitting at minus 210 inside the distance at some books. Meanwhile, fight doesn't go the distance. Could have been had for minus 200 at one point in time. If Burns is able to extend Chimaev and this fight somehow hits the scorecards, plus 800 on Burns wins by decision, but how is he going to be able to extend Chimaev? One way I could see is maybe hand fighting from his back. It's going to be a tall order because Chimaev is positionally sound, and his strength is going to be a major factor in this fight. Burns by submission plus 1,400. If Chimaev is able to have his way early but can't get Burns out of there, empties his gas tank, and then has nothing left at the end of the second or third round, then Burns could potentially latch onto something, and that's a consideration. The under 1.5 was originally sitting around plus 115. Now it's down to plus 100. That's something to eye up. But go back, take a look at that Sean Strickland interview where he was talking about Chimaev and his ability to get things done on the mat. And also, Brian Stan brought up recently, we were able to see that he was speaking of Chimaev as being the real deal. I wouldn't let that 10-0 record really deter you from picking a spot here. I wouldn't recommend playing the minus 550, but there are other ways to navigate the terrain here and find some value. I like Chimaev inside the distance, and it'll be interesting to see what happens after this bout takes place, because where does Gilbert Burns go from here? What happens if Gilbert Burns is able to pull this off? We know that Gilbert Burns has been a stalwart of both the lightweight and welterweight divisions here. It's somebody who will definitely fight hard for your money, but the problem is Chimaev, in my opinion, is just going to be too darn strong and will be able to really have his way with Gilbert Burns. You watch the Li Jingyang fight, and the way that Chimaev was able to just carry a UFC welterweight across the octagon right in front of Dana White, I believe, and then toy with him and submit him. It does speak volumes. I believe the words that are coming out of Chimaev's mouth, and I think that he is the real deal here. So folks may be hunting for value, looking for Gilbert Burns in this spot to come through. I think there are better ways to tackle this card. All right. Matthew says he can't wait for Saturday. Keep up the great work. We'll continue to do so, sir. Daniel says, something tells me Burns will still be respected as he's accepted this fight with open arms, and Chimaev will go on to be a successful fighter. I see that happening as well. So fascinating welterweight matchup we have here. I personally think Chimaev is going to roll in this spot, and he's going to be taking on an opponent who is as prepared as one could be. Gilbert Burns brought in some guys from camp who apparently have similar styles to Chimaev, but that pace is going to be hard to match. And Gilbert Burns, I don't think he's going to be able to match that pace and that strength initially. He's going to put Burns in some tough spots, and And Burns is susceptible on the feet to getting caught. And I think that Chimaev is going to be able to land big on on Burns here. Now, it wouldn't surprise me though. We've seen hype trains get derailed in the past. It would not surprise me. Been in this game long enough to see a fighter get caught. So if Burns is able to catch Chimaev, that occasionally happens, but I think that the probability of that happening is very low. So Chimaev is going to be my pick here, and want to hear what folks have to say about this specific matchup as well. So feel free to leave some comments in the YouTube video, and also remember, go get what's yours, my friends. We're going to take one fight at a time. Make sure that when you are heeding the advice or tailing somebody that they are long-term third-party tracked winners, highly recommend that you use your time wisely and that you go get what's yours. So Chimaev is going to be the pick here, and we'll continue this journey on Saturday. See everybody on Saturday morning for the Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show. And we'll also be putting out many other videos in the near future. So take care.